Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're slicing into a really fundamental question, I think, for anyone dreaming of a life in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Is formal culinary schooling, is it a must-have to become a successful chef?
Yeah, it's a big one.
We've gathered a diverse menu of sources to explore this. First up, there's a blog post from Rhineland Cutlery. It profiles 10 self-taught culinary giants.
Okay.
Then we have a guide from the American Culinary Federation looking at their apprenticeship program, sort of a different angle.
Right, structured but practical.
And finally, for a really taste of what it's like, on the ground, we're digging into a Reddit thread. Really candid stuff where chefs talk about their careers with and without that formal training.
So get into those frontline perspectives.
Exactly. Our goal here is to kind of distill the essential insights, the different viewpoints, and just give you a clearer picture of the different paths you can take.
Okay, sounds good. Let's
Yeah.
get into it. So what immediately jumps out, I think, is that Rhineland Cutlery blog post. It really presents some compelling evidence that formal schooling isn't the only way.
Yeah.
It showcases all these well-known chefs who, largely learned on the job.
It's a fascinating list, actually. Like, take Ina Garten, her journey. It's kind of amazing. From the White House, doing budget stuff, to the Barefoot Contessa empire.
Right. The store, the cookbooks, the TV show.
It just highlights how passion and like a real self-driven desire to learn can just lead to incredible wasn't exactly a straight line,
Not at all. And her story really underscores that power of just intrinsic motivation. Then you've got Rachel Ray.
Oh, yeah, 30-minute meals.
Exactly. And despite her family being in the food world, the post frames her as largely self-taught. Her ability to connect with home cooks, that really launched a massive media career.
It speaks to like understanding your audience, right? Giving them something they actually need or want. And it's not just the accessible stuff either. Charlie Trotter, I mean, his name is synonymous with really innovative fine dining.
Oh, a legend.
But he didn't even find his culinary passion until college. He went on to build this globally recognized restaurant in Chicago, basically teaching himself the super high-end stuff.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How different paths can lead to excellence, even at that very top level.
It does.
The blog also brings up Gordon Ramsay. Now, okay, he definitely had mentors later on, top chefs,
Sure.
but his initial jump from like a potential soccer career into the kitchen, it was largely self-guided, into that really demanding world. And now global restaurateur, huge TV personality.
It shows that combo, right? Self-learning plus guidance from pros.
Yeah, a potent mix.
And don't forget Jamie Oliver, the Naked Chef, his whole healthy school food campaign. He learned a lot working in London restaurants, sure, but his success is also put down to being largely self-taught. Or McKinney Howell, the vegan chef, serving celebrities, really carving out that niche.
Shows the power of specialization, too.
And then you've got people like Tom Colicchio, who's also focused on food accessibility or Tundi Way, exploring Nigerian food culture. It's a really diverse bunch.
It really is.
And it shows there are so many ways to make your mark, beyond just going to culinary school.
And the blog wraps up saying something like, betting on yourself and passion can lead to great things. It definitely challenges that conventional wisdom.
Okay, so that's one angle. Now let's shift gears a bit. Let's look at that Reddit thread on Archifit, more of a ground level view.
Right, the trenches.
Yeah. Yeah. A user, CashMonet58, basically asks, hey, can I become a pro chef without school? Cites burnout from regular education, needing to work full time.
And the responses were pretty overwhelming, weren't they?
Yeah, the vibe was definitely experience matters most.
Absolutely. The overwhelming feeling in that community is that practical, hands-on experience in a working kitchen is what truly, truly counts. So many chefs with years under their belt are saying, look, it's about whether you can perform on the line. That's the key.
Demonstrable skills over theory, basically. Especially maybe in those faster, high-volume places to start.
Exactly. And you get some really direct advice in there. Like user DXAG just says, start anywhere, even bussing tables. Get your foot in the door of a decent place and work your way up.
It's that real climb-the-ladder mentality.
Which fits with what Classic Actual says, too. Hiring is based on experience. They even sort of question if a degree matters much if you've got the passion and can actually cook.
Right. And Monkey Sticks, this user with 18 years in the industry, makes a really interesting point.
What was that?
They basically say they see no real difference between cooks with school and cooks without. And, get this, they sometimes find those without school work harder and listen better.
Huh. Because they had to climb more, maybe?
Yeah, maybe because they had to prove themselves every step of the way.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned that the business side, food costs, labor costs, you can learn that from experienced chefs right there in the kitchen.
That's a huge point. Those practical realities,
Yeah.
you absorb them best in the environment. Another user echoes that, saying kitchens are like meritocracies.
Right, where hard work and ability get you promoted.
Yeah. And they also say, look, you can learn techniques online now, videos, whatever,
Yeah.
but actually working in a busy commercial kitchen, that's a whole different ball game than cooking at home.
Oh, totally different beast. And we see others sharing similar stories. Kun Bundle advises starting as a dishwasher, show your work ethic, move up. It says the diploma means nothing compared to actually being able to do the job.
It's a recurring theme.
Yeah, and users like Cernando 138, Bucketiff Noke 42, they share these long journeys, years and years, working up to sous, chef, executive chef, all without formal schooling.
Just pure hard work and time on the job.
Exactly. And there's definitely some skepticism about the cost of culinary school.
Oh, yeah. A few people just straight up said it's a waste of money or not worth it.
Right. One user made an interesting distinction and said something like, culinary school teaches you how to be a cook, not how to be a chef.
Ooh, interesting. Implying that the chef part, maybe the leadership, the vision, comes more from mentorship.
Seems like it. And mentorship came up a lot as being crucial.
Okay.
And then, interestingly, someone even suggested an associate's degree in business might be more useful than a culinary degree.
Huh. For running your own place eventually, maybe. Management skills.
Could be. But the core message from this whole Reddit crowd seems to be, real-world experience is king. Passion and work ethic drives success.
So, okay, we've seen the self-taught stars. We've heard the strong arguments for learning on the job from Reddit. What about a middle ground, or maybe a more structured version of learning on the job? That brings us to the American Culinary Federation's apprenticeship model.
Yes, the ACFEF. Their guide outlines this, well, pretty established method. It's not just informal learning. It's a registered program with the U.S. Department of Labor, so it has standards.
Okay, so it's official. And the core idea is combining that hands-on, on-the-job learning, a lot of hours actually working.
Right, like 2,000 hours for the culinarian program across 10 different sections of the kitchen.
Wow, comprehensive. And combining that with related classroom instruction, covering the fundamentals.
Exactly, things like nutrition, intro to food service, food prep, baking, pastry, the theory behind the practice.
And the guide mentioned something interesting, the potential benefit for the supervising chefs.
Yeah, it said that mentoring apprentices can actually make the experienced chefs better because they have to constantly recall and demonstrate techniques. Kind of forces them to stay sharp.
That's a cool side effect, a two-way street.
So these programs, they have a structure. There's usually a local committee, a coordinator, the actual restaurants or hotels participating. It's a network.
And the supervising chefs often need to be certified themselves, right? At a pretty high level.
Yeah, like a certified chef de cuisine or executive pastry chef ensures quality mentorship.
Makes sense. And there's a probationary period, too.
Right, where either side can back out if it's not working, but the time still counts if you continue elsewhere. And the end goal. You earn a recognized credential, the ACF Certified Culinarian.
So it's structured, practical, theoretical, and leads to a formal certification. Seems like a solid alternative for someone who wants structure, but maybe not the traditional 4-year school route.
Definitely an option to consider. Now, okay, whichever path someone chooses, self-taught, school, apprenticeship, there's one thing that's absolutely non-negotiable.
Let me guess. Food safety.
Bingo. Our resource from the Nevada Department of Agriculture really lays out the essentials here. It's critical.
Absolutely critical. It's not just like a good idea. It's a fundamental responsibility. Their module breaks it down into 4 key guidelines. And honestly, the big takeaway is those temperature rules, they are so important.
You mess those up, people get sick. Simple as that.
Exactly. And places like the Nevada Department of Ag give really specific temps for cooking, holding, cooling. You got to be precise.
So let's quickly hit those 4 keys. First, clean. Proper hand washing, warm water, soap, 20 seconds, the whole deal. And no bare hands on ready-to-eat food. Use gloves, utensils.
Basic but crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Second, separate. Preventing cross-contamination. Wash surfaces, cutting boards, utensils between raw meat and veggies, for example.
Third, cook. Cooking food to the right internal temperature. Like poultry to 165 Fahrenheit, ground meats 155, seafood and eggs for immediate service 145.
And holding hot food hot, right, above 135 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And knowing that temperature danger zone.
Yeah, 41 to 135 Fahrenheit, that's where bacteria have a party. Keep food out of there.
And the last one, chill. Cooling hot food down fast. This is a big one. 135 down to 70 within 2 hours, then down to 40 within another 4. Keep cold food cold, below 41. And thaw food safely, like in the fridge, not on the counter.
And never put piping hot food straight into the fridge, right? Cool it first.
Right. Bring the temp down first. And the module also talks about using thermometers, calibrating them, like using the ice point method at 32 degrees hour and keeping logs.
It's all about vigilance. Meticulous attention to detail. It's vital.
And it applies to transport, handling food outside the kitchen. It's constant.
Okay. So, food safety. Check. Essential knowledge. But let's circle back to the career itself. Passion gets you started, but what about the day-to-day reality? We looked at an article on challenges and rewards, and, well, that Reddit thread again.
Yeah, the Reddit thread didn't pull many punches, did it?
Not really. While passion is key, the professional kitchen, it's tough. The article mentioned grueling days, testing your endurance.
And Reddit really amplified that. Lots of warnings about what it's really like.
Like the idea that cooking professionally, especially early on, isn't always about creativity. It's often about executing someone else's vision, precisely, over and over.
Replication, not constant innovation. That came through loud and clear from a few users. And the money aspect.
Yeah, that came up a lot. Lower pay, sometimes lack of benefits, needing to think about retirement way earlier than you might expect.
Passion doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately.
Not always.
And burnout seems like a huge risk. So many people talked about just being exhausted. Long hours, staffing problems, the high pressure.
The physical side, too. On your feet all day, hot environment, risk of cuts, burns.
It takes a toll physically.
Definitely.
And then there's the impact on your personal life. That seemed like a big one for many.
Oh, yeah. Working nights, weekends, holidays, when everyone else is off. Straining relationships, making work-life balance incredibly difficult.
Some experienced chefs on Reddit were even saying basically don't do it or, keep cooking as a hobby.
That's pretty stark advice. But it comes from experience, right?
It does, which makes that suggestion of doing that unpaid trial shift seem really smart.
Yeah, get a real taste before you commit years to it. See if you can actually handle the heat literally and figuratively.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right? We did see that one user. Oh, right, the counterpoint. Someone who switched careers into culinary later in life and found incredible passion and fulfillment.
Exactly. It suggested that for some people, despite all the challenges, it really is the right path. Even if, as another user shared, it comes with significant personal costs.
So personal experience really varies. It underscores needing that realistic picture, warts and all.
For sure. So, okay, let's try and wrap this all up. As we finish this deep dive, what's the bottom line? It seems pretty clear that, formal culinary school, it's not the only path.
Definitely not. We saw all those successful self-taught chefs as proof.
But gaining significant practical experience, that seems absolutely essential, however you get it.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And developing those fundamental skills, especially food safety, critical, regardless of your training route.
And you really need a clear-eyed view of what the job entails, the demanding hours, the pressure, the physical toll. It's not for everyone.
Right. And those apprenticeships, they offer a really interesting structured alternative that blends the practical with the theoretical.
Yeah, a solid middle ground for some. Ultimately, though, it feels like the biggest ingredients for success, no matter how you start, are things like passion, sure, but also serious dedication, hard work, and just a commitment to always be learning.
Well said. It's a continuous journey. Which kind of leads us to a final thought for you, the listener.
Okay.
Considering all these different paths, these perspectives,
Yeah.
what specific part of being a chef really calls to you? Is it the creative freedom you hope for? The buzz of that fast-paced kitchen? The idea of learning from a mentor? Or maybe, the entrepreneurial side, running your own show?
Think about what aspect really resonates.
And then what's one small, tangible step you could take, maybe even this week, to explore that specific area more? Could you look for a part-time gig washing dishes just to get inside a kitchen? Could you reach out respectfully to a chef you admire online? Or maybe just start really digging into food safety rules or practicing fundamental knife skills at home?
The culinary world has lots of doors. Knowing what drives you and taking that first step, that's how you start carving out your own path, right? Your own unique culinary journey.